What's of note about John's setup?
What's of note about John's setup? Well, I think he's done a good job with the suitcases that he found in Argos or somewhere. But I mean, it's a bit big.
And what about the best bike debate? How's this going to pan out?
Well, there can be only one. And the best bike's certainly going to come from India, that's for certain. It's just whether it'll have a BMW badge or a Royal Enfield. But no, I don't think we're going to... I think both bikes have got merit, having ridden them both. And it's just looking at what you want from your bike as to which one you therefore go for.
It's not what you were saying yesterday. Let's go see what John's up to.
I'm not adding more stuff to it.
He's been very diplomatic and towing the line. Wait till the camera's off. Right, John, what are we packing here? How long are we going away for?
Yeah, well, it's a night, but I don't really do packing that well, and I like my comforts. So I did pare this right down yesterday when everybody laughed at how much I'd bought, but then I put the sleeping bag back in because it might get a bit cold. I know it's a heat wave, but it might get cold. And I did Google Premier Inns near Wells, but there weren't any, so I'm going to camp. This thing's brilliant for touring, but I guess for trail riding I probably should have got a bit lower. It'll be fine. With my experience and ability riding off-road, what's going to be the problem?
How far do you think we'll get before it falls off?
Further than it before I fall off. I don't think you'll fall off. It won't. John will.
Question to John, how do you feel this being your first sort of trail riding road trip?
I've never camped on a bike in 20 years, and so I've never had I've ridden off-road, not very well on small stuff, but I've never carried a load of stuff off-road. When I've been off-roading before, it's always been for a day trip. But yeah, kind of nervous, and it worries me that a professional enduro rider says, yeah, it's an easy 11-hour ride. That means it's a hard 20-hour ride for me, yeah.
Okay, so it's been quite a long morning so far. It's been really dry and dusty, almost Mediterranean, really hot. So the first sign of water, I thought it'd be a good chance to stop and have a catch up with the guys and see how they're getting on with their bikes. So how are you doing? You pretty hot?
Boiling, knackered because I'm not that good at it. Getting arm pumped, but loving it.
Has John fallen off you? You've been riding behind him.
I've been riding behind him. Yeah, he seems to be doing really well actually. I'm interested to see the GS310 as I'm following it. Seems crashy over bumps, and I don't know if that's just because you're not probably absorbing him as much, or whether the suspension on that's a little bit too crashy.
Is the bike that you're riding a completely standard bike?
It's completely standard. I haven't even adjusted suspension. I've got a big pack on the back, so I've got a bit more weight on it. But yeah, it's unadjustable at the front anyway. You can only adjust for the preload. When I've taken my wife out, I've wound the preload up, but I've just left it as standard at the moment.
Yeah, and as Nathan was saying, how have you found that? Has it been
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to avoid any big potholes, but just up there, in one of those bum clenching moments where you see the hole, I can't get out of the way in time, and hit it, and it was fine. But yeah, it did bottom out. It'll be interesting to try one of the rally raid ones, because I think with tractive suspension, it's going to be a lot better.
On these bikes, you know, I think you've just got to you've not got off-road suspension as such. You've got longer travel suspension, but it's not really high-tech or good quality suspension. So you've just got to ride the bumps a lot more with these. You've really got to ride the bike and use your legs and your arms to sort of absorb some of the impact. And just try and pick a better line. You know, trail riding is always about picking good lines. If you're just riding along and not a bit oblivious to what's coming up, then you're going to get caught out. But that's easy to do when you. I guess for John as a beginner, he's thinking so much about his riding and everything else that maybe his vision ahead's not quite what it. I'm not saying it's not, of course, John. I'm not saying that. But you know, the more confident you feel as a rider off road, the more you're going to start looking ahead.
I'm interested to have a go on the Himalayan.
It's a hands.
It's a beautiful bike, obviously, and made more beautiful by having Nathan on it. But it's the 310. The 310's lighter. It's not as talky as the Himalayan.
No, I noticed you stole yours a lot.
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Yeah. Is that just because it's not good? You know, is it an easy bike to store?
I think it's the talent valve is playing up a little bit.
Nathan's just got on the GS, and I'm pretty sure I heard him say awesome as he was riding past. Whether or not he admits it later will be another matter. Did I hear you say awesome or awful?
Awful. That bike, as standard, is awful. The suspension just cannot cope with trails, and it feels so light at front end. It doesn't help by the bars are too low, they need rolling forward. But everything about that bike screams budget.
John, you're not on the Himalayan.
I'm not. On the tracks, the Himalayan's engine's brilliant. It just chugs along nicely. It's great. But we've got some really nasty rutted stuff then. It's partly a confidence thing, I want to be on my own bike, but that lack of ground clearance, and it just felt heftier to me, and also I think the lack of confidence with not being some knobbly tyres. But as a bike for somebody who's just going to do pure exploring, it's probably awesome, but if you're going to go on the roads, that's rubbish.
Justified rubbish. Strong statement, rubbish.
I'd stay on the fence on that, John.
Yeah. I think you're being dramatic there, just for dramatic
Well, you said this feels cheap, and I think it's because the engine's revvy and it feels light. It gives it that cheaper air, whereas that just feels heavier. It is a good bike, but on the road, I'd always rather be on this, and I think that's the point. BMW made this for a market that's typically going to be on the road, whereas that's made for a market that's riding around India.
I think John's being dramatic and he's incorrect, although we're all entitled to our opinion. This feels industrial, chuggable. It's not got a lot of zip top end, and I can see why you prefer that, but that is a buzzy engine. It's got better brakes. It doesn't ride as well. That's really underdamped, so it crashes and wallows a lot. It's better on the road than it is on the trails, but it's not a good trail bike. So I'm going to stay. The Himalayan is heavier. It's got poor ground clearance, but to call it rubbish is my opinion.
Freak out?
Yeah, I freaked out. I thought I'll go that way. I thought no, Adam went that way, and then I got cross-rutted. What I should have done was look further ahead and seen the route through. But I went past it, backed up, and then thought I can get across that. And I got the front wheel across, lost my bottle, let the back wheel drop into the rut, and then couldn't get it out again.
Nathan's on my bike.
Stand there, lads.
That must mean it's my turn. On the Himalayan. I broke Nathan's bike. I just tried to come out the rut. And I came out the rut, but the bike didn't. But yeah.
Why do people laugh when they break my bike?
I feel quite bad now. Nathan does not want to sit on the fence, whereas John is.
I'm happy to. See, I was saddened today because I feel that Nathan and I both had to diss each other's bikes, didn't we?
No, I don't think you felt bad about it, and I didn't feel bad about constructively criticising the GS because I genuinely believe it's flaws, but also I also point out its virtues as being a good road bike. I can see why people like the GS. I'm not bagging it completely because back when I did that full bike test, it was kind of my favourite.
Yeah.
But in a clearer light of day or a different on the trails,
I think now you've ridden the Himalayan, that's giving you a different benchmark, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's not to say it's a better. To me, it's a better bike, but I can understand why other people don't like it. I think it's a GS Lite. It's not built for travel. It takes a lot of modifications to get it anywhere usable in a real-world travel setting. So you've really got to start spending money on a GS310, which is already £1,100 more, to get it close to what you get as standard, for example, with the Himalayan.
But the Himalayan's a bit of an odd one, I think, isn't it? Because it's an extreme. Take the Himalayan out of the equation, and what can you compare to that GS?
I think its CRF Rally shines brighter now.
How much is that?
Well, if the Rally's 5.3, so the same price, a bit more.
Yeah. But that's not out of the box ready, is it?
To improve a Rally, all you need to do is put a better shock in it. So yeah, similar. Well, exactly. Actually, that brings the only bike that actually comes with that you don't need to spend a lot of money on it is the Himalayan.
Yeah, but I think you are also coming from it from the point of view of somebody who is a proper adventure rider. To me, the trails are like the little bonus. Mm-hmm. I love doing them, but I pick and choose what I want to do. And to me, that's brilliant on back roads. And I can do, I've done twisty back roads on it and motorways as well. And it's all absolutely fine. It's quick enough, really good. I mean, today I loaded it with 29 kilos with that bag. And it was fine. And all I've changed on it is I put some RMG crash guards, engine bars on it.
Bar busters.
Yeah, bar busters. Bar busters were brilliant today. Going through all that dense Jurassic
it's
Park.
A capable bike. It's just not for me.
No, and I think that's the thing because it's good how passionate you are about it. But for me, that's more. When I rode
you've been given that bike.
Yeah.
Would you go out and spend? Because I've gone out and spent £4 grand of my own money on a bike that I believe in, and I've been very impressed with the value it offers.
Yeah.
Would you go out and spend £5,200?
I think I might.
You might. It's a good bike. I'll give it that for an Indian bike, but it's not a GS. That is not a GS. Not in the old mould of an F650 or an F800. It's not a GS. It's a road bike with a bit of off-road styling and a bigger wheel. It's a GS Lite which does the job for 90% of people who are going to buy it, and that's fine. But let's not pretend that is a good GS bike in the old mould of what a GS is.
But I can do more with that than I could on a 1200. Without a lot of training.
You could, but that's only because it's light.
Yeah.
Not because it's good.
That's why I like it.
But it's not good light. It's just light because it's not got a big engine.
But
ultimately, we come back to the point. We came out to prove that you could do a trip on small bikes, and we've proven that small bikes can do any.
I don't think we've decided whether they're good or not. I think it's good.
I believe I would argue I'd put money on the Himalayan being for me the best adventure bike of the last 5 years, pound per pound.
Yeah.
So that's how strongly I believe in that bike having done 10,000 miles of hard use on it.
Yeah.
Because for £4 grand, there's no other bike that would do it as.
It's got rubbish brakes on it.
No, you just have to pull them. But the brakes aren't great, but it's a £4 grand bike that's doing everything else really well. So yeah, you can find fault with brakes. And there's always good.
It's not really quick on the road, is it?
It's about as quick as your 310 actually.
That's not.
It is.
No, it's
not. I bet it's not far.
What's top speed on it?
Mine does 82.
No.
And it'll cruise at 70. Acceleration wise, that felt flat today. But it felt.
Oh, you have to rev that. You have to work it.
And that's when it starts buzzing your seat bars and foot rest. Yeah.
I've heard other people say, "Oh, they're buzzy." I've genuinely not found it buzzy. I mean, you notice it more with the rubber inserts out of the pace.
Yeah.
I honestly think I'd have more fun on the GS than on the Himalayan because I find it lighter and easier to scratch around on.
Yeah,
so I can chuck it around and it's a real laugh on twisted. When I went down to Dorset, I did all back roads and really enjoyed just throwing it about. And the Himalayan's a little bit more
funky.
Yeah.
Docile.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like something you can barrel into a corner, grab the brakes, sling it round and go.
I think this conversation could take a little while.
You can do on either.
Yeah.
But you notice the performance. You notice the better handling for you on that Himalayan.
I know on the road, the GS I think is a better road bike.
Yeah.
Morning, morning. The cockerels had a fine morning at 3 o'clock this morning. And they're still going. Let's see how John's getting on. Morning, John. How did you sleep?
Not good because of that. After that cockle started up, and there was lightning. Then the chicken started. Then there's a cockle over there somewhere. And I think one come into the field. Apart from that, it's awesome.
Countryside, man. Morning.
Yo, sweet dream. Yeah.
How's your social media?
I'm not social mediaing.
Okay.
I'm just looking at porn.
How'd you sleep?
Well, I don't think, yeah, good. Not bad, apart from the chickens, the hens, cockles.
So what's going on?
I'm going to have a go on the Rally Race G310GS. This is a level 1.
Yeah, it's a level 1 bike.
So, what's it got?
So it's got the spoked wheels in it. It's got level 1 suspension kit, engine guard, billet bar risers, fat bars, levers, giant loop luggage, and a preload adjuster. So pretty much the full works level 1 bike.
The giant loop luggage doesn't come with the level 1, does it?
No, it doesn't. No.
Well, I feel quite happy with the standard suspension on the G310GS, but I know it bottoms out, but I don't know what a 310 with good suspension feels like. So I don't want to get off this and then think, oh, I'm gutted with mine.
Been on the Rally Raid 310 for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed you haven't given it back.
No. I mean, at my level, it's not like a worlds apart, but it definitely feels. Nathan's absolutely right. You can feel the suspension is cheap in the standard one. To me, that's what feels cheap on it. But at my level of trail riding, it's not a massive issue. So honestly, the more I ride this, the more it appeals to me that ownership journey of the 310 of introducing you to something. I can travel on that. So I mean, I've owned a CRM 250, WR 250, a MTX 125, and a DT80, but I couldn't travel on them. You know, I couldn't go long distance. I could go distance on that and then do something on it, as you could on the Himalayan. But I like the fact that the engine's still got more than enough to do anything motorways or back roads. It'd be really good fun on back roads. But if I get to a better level, for 700 quid I can upgrade the suspension. It's like a new bike.
How's everyone feeling?
Tired but happy.
Yeah? Quick summary of the 2 days?
Good riding, some good trails. It's surprising how many there are, to be honest. How many miles of them there are out east, out Norfolk way.
It's like a different world as well, isn't it? I love that Jurassic Park track. That was awesome. Yeah, and it's just different surface after different surface, isn't it? And I go holidaying around there and I would never have done that stuff as well.
There's been some heated opinions over the bikes, to put it delicately. Do we still feel as strongly as we did last night?
I don't know how strongly I felt. Yes and no, really. I think the issue we've had is that when I did a 4-bike test involving the GS back last year, I liked it and almost picked it as my favourite.
310 this is.
310. And now riding it this time, although I only rode it briefly, and it's all about context. I just wasn't as impressed with it this time. And so for me as an adventure travel bike, it doesn't tick many boxes for various reasons, which is why I bought a Himalayan, because I felt it ticks a lot more boxes. And to me, this weekend has just proven it. The Himalayan is, for me, using it to travel, to tour on, to do bits of trail riding, go longer distances, and have a lot of luggage options and easy carry luggage in comfort. For me, the Himalayan's a no-brainer for what I want it for. Riding the GS again, it wasn't as competent as on the trails as I remember it last time, but on the road I can certainly see it as a fizzing along kind of Sunday adventure bike. Then it's certainly more dynamic than the Enfield.
For me, the suspension hasn't been an issue, and on the road, that's what feels the cheapest to me, is the suspension, but it feels okay to me.
Yeah.
Riding the Rally Raid, I'm like, whoa, this is what good suspension feels like. But I think of a BMW designed bike, they could have punted that out at 7-8 grand with better suspension, but then would it have sold in the market, as a budget BMW, and when maybe 90% of the people wouldn't even notice, and it'd be competing against 750 and 850.
I think you have a higher opinion of it. Certainly have an higher opinion of it than me. For me, that sits very nicely against a V-Strom 250 or a Versys. It's just not as good as I remember it. That's my problem. And I think for me, the Enfield's come along and shown that for a very reasonable amount of money, a bike manufacturer can deliver a comprehensive package without you having to go out and spend even more money on it. And that a manufacturer can think about what a traveller needs. They're both enablers, aren't they? They both enable the buyer to get more out of their bikes, be it trail riding or whatever. I think I've had a lot of people on my tours and they come on the big 1200s and it disables them. They can't move it around in car parks. They need 2 people to get it off a campsite. Now, to me, that's completely wrong. Yeah. So if they'd have turned up on either a 310 or an Himalayan, I think they would have a far more enjoyable, relaxing time, and they could hit some trails a long way.
So can they justifiably, I think the Himalayan is definitely an adventure bike. Can we justifiably be called budget adventure bikes?
Yeah, of course it can.
Without us going back to our argument about what makes it.
No, of course it can. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Whether you're a novice rider or you're just a confident rider who just wants a bike that's easy to manage, I think they allow you to do so much more. And for such a big saving, you think a 1200 GS is 3 times that 310.
You put it a really good way, I think, when you're talking to Greg, didn't you? Either of these, you buy this and you've got 5, 6, 7 grand left for a round board adventure.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how you look at it.